All right, so I did take a sneak peek at everybody's stuff before the meeting. I couldn't help myself, and you know, boy, I it's pretty incredible. Everybody's stuff is looking great, but I think I was looking at what I think Andy is going to show today, which is almost, I think it's almost all of Rextoria, very close to what the it will look in the final film. And it's really just like all of our stuff crescendoing together, all of our, work, making sure the story works, the storyboards, the lighting, the color, the character designs, the animations, the sculpting, everything. And I mean, I don't know, it's pretty incredible. And I look at that and I'm like, wow, that's what the rest of our film's going to look like. This is going to be awesome. So I won't get too emotional, but I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, let's just jump in to have everybody share what they've been working on.
For me this week, it was mostly addressing notes for the layout for the hairspray or the spray scene. And I did this scene. Jay is temporarily blind right now. So when we have a fully rigged new version based on the new topology, he's going to have beautiful, beautiful eyes. But right now, this is what we have. So I'm just kind of working on it. So this is the U scene. And yeah, I updated the edit also. So there's a lot of fun shots now that have been animated. And where is it? Yes. So, and I've been working on the drown scene. So all of this fun peeing stuff with a lot of sprites peeing and drowning. I'm almost there. There's just like 3 little shots here that are. Besides that, I had some problems and I lost pretty much a whole day because of it. And I just want to give a shout out to Sebastian Parvork for being very patient with me and helping me kind of troubleshooting the problems that I was having with the video sequencing editor. After like a full day of it, we found a workaround, and then I think he's currently working on the bug, or I think there's a couple of other developers that are working on it. But that's pretty much for me this week. Thank you very much.
So I got so excited I forgot to mention that yes, we did record our main character Ellie last week, so that is great. Naturally, with recording anybody, we'll end up doing a pickup session later on once we start putting everything in edit. But yes, so that pretty much just leaves Phil and a couple of little sprites in there, and then also there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, and then also we have an idea for the alt. We have an idea for a different ending for the short, which I actually, after living with it for a week now, I think it really is the best option for us. And so the storyboarded version is going to go into layout. You guys will see it soon, but I think it really emphasizes even more what the message of the whole film is, which is, you fight against nature, nature's going to fight against you. And if we just are, this will never work out. We need to come to an understanding, right? And so I think we really, this new ending, which I don't know when we'll put it in the layout, but that was another thing worked on this week. Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
All right, as Matthew said, all of Rextoria has been rendered. It's in currently a lot of different stages. So in the beginning, there's some old shots and then some new shots. And mostly what I've been doing this week is giving it all a continuity pass. So the old shots kind of match all the new Victoria shots so the whole continuity is kind of okay right now. This is all very old still. Like you can see that some snails are missing their eyes here. This is very old. So I'm going to address that next week. So I just wanted to make sure that all the shots with lighting with Victoria matches up when Rex steps up to her. and that it actually matches the rest of the scene. So when the sprites are attacking and tripping Victoria, that it all kind of looks coherent and it's the same place. Next to that, I also worked on the home run sequence. So I did some really quick preview lighting for the first shot, the second shot, the third shot, and shot number 4. And this one was actually super fun because I made a moon, which was super quick job just texturing this little ball here. And yeah, so it's now in the scene, and I think it will be featured in a couple of other shots. And yeah, that continuity work is going to continue for the next week as well. And hopefully after that, we should have about 43 seconds of the film rendered. And a lot of the stuff was a lot of debugging on the farm, and Simon helped me a lot getting the shading overrides working with this, and Bastian did some fixes with overrides, and now the recursive resync is in Master 2, which helps us a lot. That's it for me.
I love how you ended up darkening in the sprites for that when you see Rex looking through the spider web, and you made the sprite's eyes still yellow, but they're darkened. That looks so cool.
So working on Jay, and so the shoe is completed. On the left side, we have the base mesh of the sculpt, and here we have the sculpt. You can see there's a bit of difference between the base mesh and the sculpt, where here it's a bit more flat and here it's more like a rounded shape. The laces are more flattened, whereas here it's a rounder shape. Then retopo on this side here, and the retopo base mesh, which is more closely matched to the retopo with the subdivisions modifier. The part of the logo, the pieces that are at the front part and at the back of the heel will be done in surfacing. So it was removed in the retopo. This is the shoe sculpted piece. This has been disassembled. And then this is the disassembled retopo. So what I've done here is done the base of the shoe, mapped out the areas that will need to be extruded so that the topology lines up. So then we've got the tongue and the heel pieces, the toe piece, the laces, and the part that goes for the area for the laces. I guess it would be called the lace cage. And then here we have the stripes. At the top here, these are the 2 pieces that we lost. So disassembling them, all 16 pieces have to match together, line up so that it can deform as one piece. And this was very important for Jay because he's very bendy. So here is the reassembled shoe. The sculpt is at the top. We have the inner part of the shoe, the front, the back of the shoe, and the outer part of the shoe. So you can see that the topology, horizontal and vertical lines all line up, matching so that they can deform as if it was one piece. Then the bottom of the shoe, as with Rex, it had a lip around it, and it was flattened as with Rex, so it's consistent. And so you can see that the stripes all continue all throughout from one side of the shoe to the other side of the shoe continuously. Then we have the sculpt base here. These are the base meshes without the multi-resolution. On the right, we have the base without the subdivision surface. The pants are also completed. Here for the pants and the sculpt, it was 2 separate pieces, and the stripes were a separate piece. And so on this side, it was basically, this is just one piece. There's no extra piece on top of it. It was mapped out and then extruded and then given a different material so that they can bend, make it very bendy. And you can see here also the topology curves upwards so that the hip joint area can be deformed instead of flat across. Okay, wireframe. So this is the body base sculpt, and this is the retopo base. You could see where the knee bends according to the rig. This is where he'll be bending the main joint for the knee. The ankle area was also brought out a little bit so that it could tuck into the shoe better. The pants, the mesh continues into where the leg ends. And so everything lines up from the leg to the pants. And that's it for me.
This week I was approved 2 shots. So it's very nice because it's my first sequence that is, the name is the scratch sequence. And the shots approved are these that I'm going to show you. I know. Okay. This. This so this one shot and the other approved was this. Okay. Then I work in the other 3 shots that I have, but they are like in work in progress because there were a problem like of the cameras and the layout. So I think now it's fixed. So I'm working in the last shot, in the blocking of the last shot, but hopefully I will finish the 3 shots next week, I hope. And I think that's all.
Okay, you guys are seeing a broken-eyed Elder Sprite?
Yes, sir.
Now you see a happy Elder Sprite. I have been working on making Elder Sprite happy, and it's super wonky so far. I've just been working on making sure things deform somewhat okay. The bones are kind of flying all over the place in motion, so that's still to be fixed, but the teeth are all set up. The mouth weights are cleaned up more or less. So now for the mouth, it's just a matter of doing the actions, and then Elder Sprite will be able to also be sad and other things instead of that. Yep. And the upper part of the face is also being worked on at the same time. You might think this is bad, but it was a lot worse when it just said automatic weights. But that clearly still needs a lot of cleanup in both weight department and the action department. And I think this is just gonna fly away. Yep, perfect, beautiful. But the eyebrows is set up, that's fine. So yeah, that's progress on Elder Sprite, which I kind of wish I could have done more this week, but there was some other stuff coming up. For example, when we discovered that Victoria's makeup keeps poking above her eyebrows, but now that should hopefully be addressed. So in a lot of poses, like this was happening where the makeup would show up above the eyebrows. Now there's a bunch of extra controls for the eyebrows. So these green guys allow you to move only the skin, so you can make adjustments if needed, but hopefully they won't be needed because I tweaked the weights, I reduced the corrective smooth. So, and Rick has been testing this today, and we might still iterate on this a bit, but now that makeup should stay underneath the eyebrow a lot easier, unless in some weird cases or extreme cases, and then you can push it further. But in this case, you would have this move down a bit, and yeah. So yeah, that was a problem that we run into, and it's being worked on. It's kind of tough, but it's fine. And other than that, I worked a bit on cleaning up add-ons. Also, I guess I can show. This is something that was made many months ago, but never used so far, which is this guy, which lets you do this. Just creates a lattice setup automatically, very simple. But this didn't have any documentation so far, and some of the animators expressed some interest in actually using this after it collecting dust for a few months. So I wrote some documentation, fixed some bugs, and I think that is probably it for me.
Okay, so this week I started the haircut sequence, the first shot with Alice running away from the sprites. And yeah, I wish I had some more shots to show, but I'm struggling a bit with the hair, so I only have this. So yeah, I mean that's it.
So if you go to my wiki folder, inside it there is wait, no, okay. Yeah, the Scratch exports, and then if you go there, there is the version 9. There is a couple of shots I've been working on this week. Yeah, there's no 3 shots. Yeah, that's been pretty much it. These 3. Now I'm starting to work in the last one is 100, just setting up everything, and that's been pretty much my week doing that and doing changes, like changing the small stuff and boring stuff. So that's been my week.
Okay, so this week I worked some more on the set, so rearranging some stuff a bit, giving a bit more space to Ellie under the bush so we can add some custom branches that can be animated. So those still need to be added. Same thing here. I just adjusted the lights just a little bit so that it looks a bit more like what we're going for. And then there were the extra shots of Elder Sprite. So this was kind of the starting point where I also like added some more leaves in the background, some branches which were missing, and some more stuff, and added the moss back, which is probably a bit too much, but we'll have to see. And the texturing and the model of the branch over here in the foreground also still needs to be adjusted, but this is mostly there. And then, of course, he falls down. There were these hanging bits of the moss, which I removed. And we'll have to see those are how this looks later on with the lighting. But then also these shots, we already discussed that the ground needs to be more detailed. But first I can go to the next shots. These can pretty much stay almost exactly the same as they are right now. It just needs more in the background of the sets, trees and treetops, which I then started adding over here. But there was an interesting discussion with clearing the mushroom growth, because there's like a big area where there's no trees. So we kind of need to fake it and like add more trees in here, probably coming from the left, which is then going to fill in that area. Also, there's still like too much blackness between the bushes and the ground. And basically I like made variations of the pine cone asset and a little like the sponge that the sprites are going to be using to clean the ladybugs, which I then just like slapped on top. It looks a bit detailed, but it's still more chunky and more simple than the actual model that we use in the background right now. So we'll have to see how that looks. Maybe with enough, like with the shading, we can like blend everything more together. I tried to do some more scene work today, some more set work today, but I couldn't open the file anymore, and so that's still crashing. I need to figure out what's going on. And there's also a Blender workshop going on right now, so that I invested some time in there. But that is basically it.
During this week, I just work on this shot. We had some back and forth, so mainly I finished this up. So yeah, I'm going to mute it because I listened this already like 1 million times and I don't want to. So it's almost finished. So I'm gonna jump on the next sequence. It's supposed to be Rexoria is finished and just ready to light. Well, it's lighted already in some parts, so everything is awesome. So that was my week.
All right, so I hope you can hear me and see my screen. This week, there's not so much like visually to see from my side. Like Tuesday and Wednesday, I was mostly spending time refactoring all the code from Blender Kitsu. It's getting like bigger and bigger, the add-on, and some house cleaning needed to be done. And these are like all just restructuring of stuff, like no functional changes, but you know, making everything nice under the hood. Then I updated all the like the Kitsu strips in our edit. So I went in and like changed all the frame ranges, lined them up with our actual edit, and pushed everything to Kitsu. So now we have all those wonderful colorful strips here, which represent the shots on Kitsu basically in the edit. I helped the animators to set up the Blender Kitsu add-on. So hopefully nearly all of them should now have the add-on installed. So it's also easily updatable. So they all get it from the Dropbox and can make some nice play blasts onto Kitsu. Then there are some small functional extras. For example, it's now possible to, if you select here a Kitsu shot, there's this new function here of actually rendering the shot to Kitsu. So before you could only make thumbnails. Now you can in and select the task type and hit render shot, which will actually take the strip, make a movie out of it, and upload it to Kitsu. And now you can see here, when I refresh the page, we have the whole sequence strip uploaded to Kitsu, which might be useful in the future to compare some stuff, comparing layout to animation, for example. Then I also work on a little small system to here being able to select a Python file and just basically run it, which is mostly used now for quickly changing render settings. So you have a folder, you can create some Python files, you can just execute them more or less, and it will do the stuff that you defined there, which is useful for Andy for quickly changing render settings from preview to final or something like this. Right, and what else? Oh yeah, and like in the end of this week, we discovered we have a little bit of a problem with our whole frame ranges and how our workflow is currently now. So we discovered that here you have an edit and I like scrubbed through the shot, right? And we have this Kitsu strip, which represents the shot, it's the yellow one. But what now if Hjalti goes in and like literally does this? So he changes, he scrubs the whole shot. So the shot looks now different. It has a different frame range, but the yellow strip didn't change. Like the frame in and frame out, it's still the same. And we have no way to like detect this at the moment, which will be problematic later to update the frame ranges in the anim file. So we need a solution for that. And there were quite some discussions going on how to do that. We have some different options and I'm currently like investigating this and started to implement a solution for this today. And yeah, hopefully we have this next week somewhere. Yeah, that was my week.
So yeah, I'm very excited that our first sequence has been shipped off in animation. Rextoria has been done, and we're currently working on 3 other sequences at the moment, which one of them is already done as well. We're waiting for some audio on a home run, and then scratch and haircut are in progress as well. But I'm going to show you something else. So this week, first off, I had some backtracking to do because we had updated hair for Victoria. Her rig was been updated, so the shots that we already animated, we had to animate her hair as well. And one of the shots that had to be done and finished was shot 70. And this shot has been quite a job to animate all of these spiders correctly without intersecting anywhere. So luckily it's going fast, so please don't stop. Pause the video. But yeah, it's that one is done. Then I've been working on the pose library for Victoria. So there's a couple of poses here that are in there that animators can easily slap on now and use, along with hands, along with some the full mouth posing. So that's all there. That's in the pose library, ready to pick up. Again, as you can see, like some of the poses, the problem what Matt was mentioning is still in here. I'm going to update that as soon as possible. Next to that, as a kind of dessert, this is for you, Matthew. And also credits to our to Demeter to be able to add some extra lettuces to enhance the fatness.
You've been
of the
feeding
stew.
him.
Yeah, I know it's terrible.
Extra chunky.
That looks great, Rick. I have to say thank you, and thank you for everybody else who helped make that guy look more chunky. Awesome.
Cool. So yeah, that was my week.
Right. I also don't have all that much visual to show today, but last week I showed the system that we would need for lighting to override different settings that we can't currently do with library overrides, which was just based on having the setting files where we would have 2 layers for the sequence and then on a shot basis, and that worked fine, but was very inconvenient to handle because we'd have to add the names here manually, take care of the settings, make sure that everything still runs, and it's pretty prone to errors. So what I did was make that into an add-on with user interface where the lighting artist could just go in and read out the settings, manage the settings directly here in the UI, the different sequence and shot settings, and yeah, add them in and directly see what's going on without having to go into the text editor and make sense of whatever those JSON files are saying. And yeah, so far it's generally working quite well. There are issues where it's kind of difficult to say if it's the add-on or the execution, or it's just a general issue with overrides, but I still think that this is gonna help us save a lot of time with just setting up all these overrides, because that's definitely something we'll have to do a lot for the lighting of these shots, because we want to go in and change settings in very high detail. So one thing we can do here, for example, is just go into LinkedIn materials and change whatever we want to. If I just go here onto a color, I can just press a button, change the color of the dots on the mushroom heads, which is something we probably don't want to do, but it's possible. So all these different settings we can just change, and then they're saved into here, into the override settings. And then I can just write that to the shot settings, and then it's going to be applied automatically. So the whole idea with this was also to just have this as a UI to control whatever we want to overwrite, but the add-on is not a necessity for this to run. So we can just not have the add-on on the farm, but just save the settings as they are, and it still all runs automatically on the render farm, so we don't have to worry about that. And yeah, so far it's kind of working. We're still looking into some things, but yeah, that was most of my week.
So thanks a lot, everyone. Fantastic work. Lots of progress. I am very excited to have an animation team, which is going to keep expanding, and I'm looking forward for it to pick up speed and to start continue working on the scenes that come after Rextoria. And yeah, congratulations to everyone. It's looking really awesome. See you all on Monday.
See you, team.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.